Hey everyone, Alex Brandy here, New England Patriots cheerleader, and you're listening to Boston's Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave Media.
All right, welcome to episode 51 of Boston's Big Three, presented by Ride the Wave Media. Today's sponsor is New Balance. From walking to running to training, New Balance has the gear to help you stay healthy. Now, more than ever, movement matters. Movement matters, dude. I go on walks all the time now. It's unbelievable. I went on a hike with my girlfriend probably a week ago, and I was gassed, like absolutely gassed. I'm like, maybe being like just the lazy just blob in my apartment, doing nothing except, I don't know, sitting around playing video games, eating food, and I don't know, just sitting around isn't the best lifestyle. I'd rock some Air Force Dad ones if New Balance is too kind to share them with me, and then I go on a lot of walks. Let's get that sponsored. Walks by Ty.
Walks by
Featuring New
Ty.
Balance.
Yeah, movement does matter. Same thing. Just been plopped on a couch most of the time. I had to buy an exercise bike. I don't know hold on. I gotta drop
A stationary bike?
Yeah, like that.
Not a Peloton.
No,
That one's got a lounge chair on it.
it does. It's nice. You can't
How old
afford
is with it?
Peloton. A Peloton's like $2,000. I gotta be able to do that. That's something that get me. But after this is over, I'll hop right on there for an hour straight while I'm watching part 2 of the Jordan doc, which we'll get into a little bit later, episode 2. And I'll sit there and I'll sweat it out, and it feels good afterwards. You got to move around. You got to sweat a little bit.
All right, enough of this. Why do you and Corey or GRD hate each other after seemingly days? All right, let me walk you through my point of view before you explain your side. So from an outsider, as someone who sat in just having Corey on, like I've sat with you and Corey multiple times, just in public, over Zoom, over Skype, whatever it is. And you guys always have your back and forth, blah, blah, blah. So GRD in typical GRD fashion came in guns blazing. You guys started yelling at each other. Takes were said, insults were thrown. And I'm just sitting back here just taking it. Like, whatever, man. Like, this is just the GRD experience. Little do I know, after the show, we make an edit as people do. And if I'm connecting some dots, I'm sure you told Dito to make some edit for you. And he did. And then he didn't say GRD side of the story. So if my theory is correct, GRD hit up Dito. He goes, make the other side of the story edit. So Dito made one for GRD. You guys started going at it as a publicity stunt to get more views, which it worked. This is one of our highest viewed episodes of all time. So I think that's working. And then it got to the point where GRD deletes his Instagram, and then that's the block in the road that I'm questioning it. I'm thinking this is one big publicity stunt. I'm thinking GRD is coming back on Boston's Big Three eventually to hash this out. I could be totally wrong, but I think this went from something that went from let's get some viewers to gone too far to I don't know. This is Vince McMahon. You guys are Vince McMahon.
I mean, so this is what happened. You're completely wrong towards the end. I mean, everyone can speculate what they want to do. We had GRD on here because it was our 50th episode, Boston's Big Three. I mean, there's obviously a reason that GRD doesn't exist with Ride the Wave really anymore. He sucks. He's a fraud. There's a lot of flaws. I mean, GRD's like Goldberg, right? Goldberg can only have a match. I love wrestling. So Goldberg can only have a match for 3 minutes. You get everything out of it. Goldberg has the look. He has the part, but Goldberg can't wrestle. You know what? I can wrestle. I can go an hour. I'm a technician on here when it comes to talking. When you have GRD, shut up. When you have GRD on here, he just has the same old one-liners. He says his thing. He talks over you. He tries to act, tough and funny. And it works. So, little kids love it. You know what I mean? And, we'll laugh and giggle and stuff. But then after the episode's over, I thought that it was very rude of him to shit on some of our other guests and saying, like, I would bring this, I would bring that. I mean, the guys all talk. What did he ever do in the first 10 episodes? And you said that, too. It's like, where have been all those guests that you can promise us? I can go on other podcasts and do that. Why haven't you done it? So it struck a chord with me. You know what? I was trying to play a little defense and defend Ride the Wave. We worked really hard over these last 50 episodes to get somewhere, and I think that we have something. He wants to go on Instagram and talk all this bullshit and saying, like, Ride the Wave fucking sucks. Boston's Big Three sucks. Dude, he has this stupid little cult following, these little kids that are, like, now shitting on us. now saying like, yeah, screw Boston's big three, screw Tyler Miller, screw Joe Stafford. Joe Stafford doesn't know what he's talking about. Screw. Then you have kids in the DMs like, oh, I wanted to be on the Red Sox MLB, but I got pushed out for Brandon Watabe, which was completely false. Like, and I showed you that DM, Brendan. So you start seeing these kids start making up false accusations. So you know what? If GRD wants to call us frauds, I posted that picture of him wearing a KD jersey when we went to the Warriors and Cavs game. Like, and it's like, hey, you want to call yourself Green Runs Deep? Why are you repping that shit? People saying it's Photoshop, this and that. No, it's not. I end up posting some videos out there. GRD obviously got some dirt on me in the past. Yeah, I used to weigh almost 300 pounds. He wants to try to use that to his advantage. And then all of his followers come at me thinking like, it's funny to make fun of my weight. Like, yeah, I've gained some weight back and I'm not happy about that at all. But bro, I lost like 100 pounds. I was down to 198 like a couple of years ago, back in like 2015 or 2016. Like it was crazy. Like and I think GRD just kept taking it personal, dude. Like talking about my unborn children, talking about my You're laughing, but I don't take that shit serious, bro.
It's not funny.
It's just the fact that
you guys are going back and forth. From my point of view, I talked to you guys less than an hour before all this happened. Next thing you know, you guys are going at it for like hours on Instagram story after Instagram story. You guys look like you had a bead necklace Instagram story. And the fact that it was taken from just casual, just like back and forth to, all right, it's getting a little personal, but whatever. Like you just come with that. Like whatever I learned from talking with you guys is just because you guys speak louder doesn't mean you guys have a point. Not saying with you in particular, like you guys keep raising your voice, it escalates. And then after I saw all this promo coming out
shut up.
of all going back and forth personal shots, I don't know how that came from.
All I know is that I came out to defend Ride the Wave. And when I defend Ride the Wave, I'm defending all the people that are associated with Ride the Wave, all these stupid morons that are GRD loyalists that are just completely blind sheep to GRD, got exposed. And then they got, because now he starts mixing them in there. And I stuck with my ground, and I believe in what we do here. I'm not going to let someone shit all over that. Then he wants to start taking personal shots. I have a few things that I have out there. Some people, he'll say, oh, it's this way. Like, bro, like GRD got punched in the face, like outside West End Johnny's, and he'll say, no, that's false. That's false. Well, whose side are you going to believe? Everyone's going to believe him because he has more followers. He has that cult following, this and that. I'm just trying to speak the truth. And guess what? That voicemail, like he tried calling me during the day. I ignore all my calls and shit. I'm ignoring my text messages. Guys got a lot of text messages that I saved. Calls me, dude. I got sick of it. I fucking put up on Instagram, hey, who has an attorney? And I literally got reached out by like 5 to 6 different people. I sent a couple emails out there, and I went to GRD and said, I'm literally going to court with this now. I have a lot of I'm sick of this. Like I'm really sick of this shit. And I threatened a lawsuit on him. And you know what he had to do? He had to deactivate his Instagram. I said, yeah, I'd take it down. So I made him take down his Instagram. I got the one up on him for that because I have threatening messages and I have all this shit and I have everything saved. And that's enough grounds for defamation of a brand, of a character, and also threats being made to family. So, that's what GRD stepped over the line. Now, people are saying, oh, this is fake and this is false and you guys are just doing it. Do you not see the shit that was said, especially coming from his side? Like you could say, oh, Babz, you took it personal. How personal did I take it? Maybe like I showed a couple video clips or him wearing like a different jersey. This guy fucking blasting my weight, blasting my family, talking to my mom, just like trying to put something out there. So GRD ain't the man that you think he is. Will we see GRD in the future? I'm sure we will. Friends make up over time.
Have you talked to him?
Friends make up over. No, absolutely not. I have everything ignored, and I'm still going to be talking. I'm still going to be talking to my attorney going forward. So, I just realized that my battery's not plugged in, and my battery's not plugged in for some reason. I don't know. Hold on. Is that working? This is not good.
I have a question. I have a question.
All right.
It seemed like he came in hotter than usual. And that's saying something for GRD, for Corey especially, to come in as hot as he did. Obviously, kind of a hothead, comes in with these hot takes and these blazing kind of attitude. But it seemed extraordinary. Do you see why we might think it's a staged event?
I'm rattled right now because my battery's about to die.
Just plug it in.
I might have to go on my phone. I can understand why you think that it might be a stage event, and I can say oh, Brian, you like to take everything over the top and you like to do everything. That's cool. But Stafford, like the amount of people, the amount of stuff that was put out there and for personal information, like, would we really want that out there? Do I want some of that shit out there? Absolutely not. Like, that's kind of stupid. And I think that was absolutely wrong. I'm getting my technician over here.
I mean, I had no idea. So everyone kept saying like, oh, a bunch of people hit me up saying like, oh, what's going on with GRD and spiking? Like, I don't know. This is why we're waiting here. This is the first time we want to know. I didn't want to know because I wanted to wait for like a live reaction with this whole thing. I mean, will we see GRD again? Probably. Will he be back on the show? Probably. Will this all blow over? Most likely. But at the time, I don't know. Like, it's something to talk about. It's something nobody expected.
Idiot frozen right now. Look at him.
I can't even see him.
He's in painting mode again.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my god. But anyway, I mean, it's good content. Like, we're stuck doing nothing for the next month and a half at the very least, it seems like. So it's kind of interesting to see these Boston sports heroes go back and forth on Instagram.
Seems like there's the three most hated figures of quarantine so far. You got Carol Baskins, and you got who's the GM from The Last Dance last night?
Oh, Strauss or whatever.
Yeah, whoever Michael Jordan's GM was at the Chicago Bulls, and then you have GRD. Yeah. It's like the three horsemen of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
he called in. He called in.
Called in.
All right. My computer died because everything's unplugged. And I'm finishing off my point before I hop back on Skype here video because we need to keep this going. Stafford, if the things that were out there were completely personal, and I thought that he took it way over the line, GRD out there is a complete bully. Like, that's all he is. And, yeah, like, I understand if people at home that think that, hey, you take this way over the top, you like to be the Vince McMahon and, oh, what's the next juicy storyline? Well, I'm not taking this shit serious, dude. And I think a lot of people are right. Once you start having kids, it really changes you, man. And it's more of a protection than my mindset. So
you got kids now?
I think that I'm not in the wrong. I'm actually joining right back in right now. I don't think I'm in the wrong at all.
There he is.
All right. Technical difficulties. Hang up on there. I'm hopefully back here. And these are the things that happen. Episode 51. Now, GRD is probably going to use this as an excuse and say, like, this is why your podcast absolutely stinks.
We haven't changed. All right, you good?
I don't know if you can see me.
We can see you.
All right, perfect. I can't see myself, but no, I think I don't know what you guys were saying when I was hung up there for like a minute or two, but whatever.
We're just roasting you for being frozen.
Oh, okay. Well, no matter what, like, end of the day, this shit's real. This shit's not going away anytime soon. I hope that GRD comes out with a public apology one day. He has to keep his Instagram off for a little while because that's the agreement that my attorneys have made towards him and said that we need to let this cool down for a little bit. And when GRD comes back, we'll see what ends up happening. Friends fight. And I'm sure he now realizes he took this over line and it's just like, oh, wow, Babz is really taking this serious. So that's it.
All right, let's go into the interview. So Babz sat down with the interview. Boston Marathon soon-to-be runner. Unfortunately, not this year, but in the years future, I'm sure. But Babz, you want to introduce her real quick? We'll hop into that, and then we'll see you guys on the other side.
Yeah, so we had Holly Connolly on today. Holly Connolly. She was going to be running her first Boston Marathon. I thought today would be good to get together. It's not about the GRD stuff. Like, fuck him. It was about, hey, today's Boston Marathon. It's Patriots Day. They've been doing the Boston Marathon for over 140 years, tradition in our city. And I thought that this would be a great opportunity to have, from a runner's perspective. There's 30,000 runners every year. And the Boston Marathon's actually a couple of interesting tidbits. Like the Boston Marathon, it costs $7,500. That's how much money you have to raise just to even run. And you have to be approved to do it. So it was good to hear her perspective on this. And she's ran 4 different marathons, including Chicago, Nashville, New Jersey. So she was finally going to do the Boston Marathon. She plans on running New York City in September. She plans on doing Tokyo because there's 6 world marathons that you can do. In Boston, Chicago, New York City are the ones in America.
Is she going to do both of those? The New York and
So-
Boston one? Because they're both in September now.
You're going to have to listen to the podcast, and you're going to have to
Alright.
listen to the interview, which you don't know, and we'll talk about on the other side. I will say this, that one of the main questions that I did talk to her today, and I hope that Dito listens to this and makes an edit. So one of the things is
Shout out Tito.
shout out Dito, dude. Dito does all our edits for Instagram. So one of the things about the Boston Marathon that I was very interested in today was, will there be people still running in the Boston Marathon out there today? And there was an actual trend that started, hashtag Backyard Boston Marathon on Twitter. And she even said that there are people out there that are running, whether they're in their own backyards, whether they're using a treadmill, that they would run X amount towards the Boston Marathon, or they'd run the old 26.2 miles. She did say that there's some people out there that actually started running it because the news media was there to cover it. We talked a little bit more about that, but the hashtag Backyard Boston Marathon, I haven't even looked it up yet, but I'm sure like it would be very interesting to see that and see the people, because there are people out there that are very dedicated to traditionalists, that this Boston Marathon means so much to them, and that's prior to the Boston Marathon bombings. This means a lot for causes, what they run for, running for the city, running for their family, and now running for the entire state and whatever, because of the Boston Marathon bombings, and you're running for those that have lost their lives. So it was interesting. It was great. It's a great tidbit. I talked a little bit about me being a spectator at the Boston Marathon. It was my first time going last year, and I suggest anybody being there. So we get a little bit into that. And she was drinking a Bud Latte as well too while we were talking. So I thought that was kind of cool. So
Hey, she's got a little longer to prepare now.
well, she explains why she was drinking it too. So here we go. The interview with Holly Connolly, potential Boston Marathon runner for today, but she will be running later on. Here we go. All right, everybody. Time is now for our next interview guest. Because today is Patriots Day, it's supposed to be the Boston Marathon. The Boston's Big Three podcast presented by Ride the Wave, today sponsored by New Balance. We wanted to just take a step back and, talk a little bit more about the marathon, but also get someone's perspective as well, too. Every year you see different people out there across the world who want to run in a historic marathon, over, I believe, 140 of them, 140 years of doing this. With the Boston Marathon coming up, or supposed to be today, many people run for different causes, for beliefs, for tradition. So I thought it would be great to have somebody come on here that has marathon experience, but someone that was going to be running their first Boston Marathon. Someone that was going to be very excited to do that, and we get to hear their side of the story and what the Boston Marathon means to them, and especially with what COVID-19 has just halted our entire world. It'd just be something a little bit different. So our next guest right now is Holly Connolly. Holly.
Hi.
How's it going? For those, out here, it's like Holly is someone that's a family friend with Big Micheal, and we thought this would be awesome to get somebody on there. I've working at the hospital. I've seen myself at MGH, different nurses, doctors, and any sort of staff that have raised money through MGH to go run in the marathon as well. What was your cause for this year, going into the Boston Marathon, that you were raising money towards?
I was raising money for Tufts Medical Center.
Tufts Medical Center. Okay. Yeah, Micheal was telling me about that before. Just for everybody that's listening at home, that's watching, I literally just woke up an hour ago, so my brain is absolutely fried. So Holly, you're gonna have to carry us for a little bit today.
That's all right.
But going forward, let's for the viewers and listeners out there, Holly, let's get a little background about yourself. Tell us who you are. Tell us about some of your past experiences with marathon running, and kind of lead us up towards the Boston Marathon for today.
So the Boston Marathon will be my 5th marathon. The marathon that I've been looking forward to, always running. So that'll be in September. My first marathon was in Chicago, one of the world majors, which was my favorite so far. And then I ran Nashville. So I ran that in October, and then another month later, I'm like, oh, I want to run another one. I was like addicted. So then I ran one in April in Nashville, and then I ran Providence and then New Jersey. I kind of did like a back-to-back, like a week apart, and now I'm supposed to be doing Boston. I refused to wear my jacket until I crossed the finish line, so I figured I would hang it up here.
Yeah.
For some support for all our Boston Marathon runners. So there it is, right there, the 2020 Boston Marathon.
What made you get into marathon running to start with? What was that first marathon, and what was that thing in your mind that's like, I want to do this, and that's set in stone?
So I started running about 10 years ago. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't work out, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just go to the gym and I'll just run on the treadmill. And then I saw this woman across from me running on the treadmill, and it seemed like she was running for like an hour. And I'm like, I want to be that person. And then I just kind of like got into running. I would just do 5K local races for good causes, and I joined the Colonial Road Runners Club, which is a local club. We have about 800 members, and there's just races all over, and you meet so many friends, and now I've just got close friends that I run with. And I ran my first half marathon in 2016, and once I crossed the finish line, I said, I'm running a marathon. I said I wanted to run it by 30, and I did, and so now here I am, hoping to run Boston. But I don't know, now running is like my therapy. I wake up, I look forward to running, and it's just, your day isn't complete without your run.
Yeah, and that's something that too that you just said, how it like you started about 10 years ago, and there's not that stigma in your mind that you have to be an athlete to do it. Like, it's just get out there and just do it. Like literally Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
Even though New Balance is our sponsor today. So like, it's just funny because even someone like me, like I'm not in the best of shape at all. And I've seen plenty of runners out there that might not be in the best of shape, but if you can condition yourself and train a little bit, you're able to do it. And I think that what you just said, those baby steps, is doing like a little local 5K to go up even further. And I've noticed that over the last couple of years of doing some charity work, like Best Buddies or Teddy's team, they have the Falmouth Road Race. I know that for Best Buddies. I know and then you got Teddy's team that's involved in it. And I know Teddy Bruschi runs in the Boston Marathon every year for his stroke awareness. So I like to see the runners. You guys all have like these tight knit groups together, right? Like it's like family in a way.
Yes, and I always tell friends that don't run, they're like, oh, I wish I could run like you. And I tell them, I'm like, every runner starts out in the same place. I don't think anybody's good in the beginning. I guess some people are born natural, but I wasn't the greatest in the beginning, and I'm probably still not the greatest, but I'm great to myself. And anybody can do it. You find that passion, and then
So here's another thing too that I'm thinking about. Let's take Chicago, for example. Have you ever been to Chicago prior to running that marathon?
No.
So here's a great example. Someone like me, I fly all over the world. I'm all over the place. So when you go to Chicago and you're like, all right, I get to run this marathon, you're also experiencing the city for your first time. You're running around inside the city, and you're kind of, as you're going to do the marathon, you're looking around like, wow, like this is Chicago. Like you're getting to a little sightseeing as you're doing it. How about you take this and kind of walk us through a step-by-step of your Chicago experience, how you end up starting for that, what was your training regimen, and then, your flight over there, and what was it like in general?
So, I follow the Hal Higdon training plan, and it's like an 18-week training plan. And you follow it week by week. You have your cross training days, which I don't really follow. Guilty. And leading up to race day, you just do your running, and you have to be dedicated and put the miles in. It doesn't matter how fast you're running, as long as you're getting the miles in. And so, all my races have been like a vacation, pretty much, other than like Providence, because it's close. But you fly into wherever you're going, or you drive in, and then the most exciting thing, other than running the marathon, is going to the expo. Because the expos, you get all your running gear, you have all these like local supporters, you've got New Balance, you've got Nike, you've got everybody, you've got Brooks. But I'd say like the most exciting part is just crossing the finish line, and the crowd support. The crowd support isn't always great, but Chicago was amazing. I can't wait for Boston. But I'd say the experience is just the expo and being able to travel and seeing places that you haven't seen before. Like a few of my running friends and I want to do 50, the 50 marathons, 50 states. I've got a long ways to go, but I can get there. I'm only 32.
When you talk about get your miles in, In your head, are you trying to hit a certain pace time at all when you do these, or are you just like, I just want to do it to finish it? Like, as long as I finish, that's the goal.
Yeah, a few of like the training plans have you do like race pace. I just keep a consistent pace because when I train, I run with my friends and we're conversating and we're just it's kind of like casual. Like we're at a good pace, but it's almost like time for us to spend together and help the runs go by quicker because you're running out there sometimes 2 to 3 hours.
What are some of the other things or other causes? I know you said Tufts Medical Center was this year for Boston Marathon. What are some of the other causes that you've either raised money for or have been sponsored with through the last couple of marathons you've done?
So I've been lucky enough where I haven't had to like raise money for any charities, but now that I had to raise money for Boston, now I want to raise money for these charities because I never knew what it was like to raise money for charities. Everything else this is like a marathon that you can't just sign up and run. You have to raise money for a charity. So I chose Tufts Medical because my dad was a patient at New England Medical prior to the merge. So I ran in memory of him. I'm running for him. But now I think with all my other marathons, I want to run for charities because you can raise the money. It takes a lot of work, but you do it. Like I had a fundraiser and it was just super successful and it went by like in the blink of an eye. Like it was a damn wedding. Like I don't even know. It was great.
It's awesome. I was just going to ask you about the fundraising and what you ended up doing for that because I've seen shout out to my girl Amy Wiswell that I worked with at MGH. She raised money. What she did was she had a fundraiser at Causeway Bar, like right on Causeway Street, and they like, okay, like, oh, you're doing this, for a charity cause. Cool, we'll give you the entire upstairs for free. Then you have like people bringing gift baskets in and raising money. It's just a great way for everyone to come out and show that support together because you're raising money for a great cause, but you're also supporting the individual or individuals that are running in the marathon together. So it's a good way to kind of get together, and it's also feels good because you're in the middle of training and you're still raising the money, and it's like, wow, I have a great support around me. Kind of keeps you going in a way.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the people that come out for you when you're raising money for a good cause. It touches my heart at least. I mean, the fundraiser is what did it for me. I mean, I reached well over my goal, and I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, no one's gonna show up. I don't know what it's gonna be like. And then it was just, it's great. It's nice to see people come together for good causes.
What's the minimum amount of money that you have to raise for the Boston Marathon?
Pretty sure 7,500. Unless if you BQ like qualify for the Boston Marathon, which I'm not fast, will not qualify for the Boston Marathon. So you have to raise. Usually, most of these charities you have to raise a minimum of 7,500, and then some runners say they're going to raise more than that, like they want to raise 10, but the minimum 7,500, and you have like deadlines to get the money raised by like certain amounts by certain times.
So you have done these, it was the 4 marathons. This would have been your 5th one. What made you wait to do the Boston Marathon? Why wasn't the Boston Marathon the first one?
So I was actually drinking at a bar, and that was when I signed up for the lottery for the Chicago Marathon. I'm like, all right, it's time to sign up for the marathon. And I got in, and my friend actually got in, and we ran it together. Here we are. This was my first marathon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was kind of what made me finally sign up for one. And Boston, I kind of waited on because I was trying to get into dental hygiene school, and then I was in school, and it's a 2-year program, and I knew to run the Boston Marathon, you have to run for a charity, and I just knew I couldn't dedicate the time to raising this money. So I graduated last May. So then I was like, I'm going to sign up for next year. I'm going to apply for the charity, and they accepted me. So now it's my time to run.
Should be time to run. You should already been maybe finished by now. Yeah. Maybe a little later, right?
I'm drinking my Bud Light because I would, definitely be finished by now. So this is my Bud Light post-race drink, even though I would probably be on like number 5 by now.
You know what? I'm actually happy
No,
you're drinking.
yeah.
I've been drinking more water lately because I definitely need to. The Bud lattes have gotten to me too much. I've gained too much weight. Usually I'd be slugging them right now on the podcast, but again, I just woke up, so it's like that doesn't stop me from drinking them. But all right, so let's just talk a little bit more about the Boston Marathon. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, the pandemic, rightfully so, everything's been shut down. We need to stop the spread of this. And they said they are pushing this back to when? September?
Yeah, September 14th.
So what day, if you can remember, that they kind of said this is being shut down, and what was your feeling, your gut feeling when you heard that?
I don't remember the exact date. We kind of all saw it coming. I didn't think it was actually going to happen, but then it did happen. I can't say I was, well, I was disappointed, but I'm not like disappointed now because I'm going to get my time to run. Like, it's not like I'm not going to be able to run the marathon. And myself and the 30,000 other runners that are going to be running, we're going to be a part of the history for the first marathon that was ever rescheduled for Boston. So it definitely sucks. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we were 16 weeks into training and everyone's like, oh, we trained for this and now it's postponed to September. So, my recommendation to all these other runners, which I'm sure they're doing, just keep running. That's what I'm doing. I'm running with my friend and just keep running. That's it.
State training.
Yeah, it sucks, but what are you gonna do? Everything happens for a reason.
Do you think that there are? I literally just woke up, so I haven't looked at my news all day. Usually, I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone the entire. This is what I do. I wake up, and the first thing I do is, I'll kiss Micheal, say good morning, and then I grab my phone and I'm trying to look at everything while she's bothering me, and then I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So you need to tell me this because I don't know yet. Did anybody run the course today? Because I was very interested to know. And before you talk about it, because I don't want you to spoil it yet.
Mhm.
I said this over about a week ago, and I said I kind of wanted to go down there today to the finish line because in terms of Ride the Wave Media, I was like, maybe I want to film a couple things. But then I'm also being the problem of going out there in society when we should be staying home. So I didn't do it. But I figured that there would still, out of the 30,000 people, there's still going to be some people that might run the entire course. There might be some people that run the last mile. Working in the city's completely shut down. We drove by the finish line last night at work. I mean, the whole city shut down. We own the entire city. We ride around in the cruisers and stuff. And the finish line it's not painted or anything, but everything's still open. I thought maybe BPD would go down there and shut it down. I have no idea what happened today. Literally don't know. Just woke up. Did anybody run it today? And if not, or if so, did any of your inner tight group talk about running today, or just not running in the streets, just running on the sidewalks, doing it out of memory or whatever? Explain it to me.
So I did have a little group message going with a few of my running friends, and before this even got postponed, I said if the marathon's canceled, we're still running the damn course. We're running the course. And then now everything that's going on, and we're not running the course. We didn't run the course. So we I don't know who it was that started this hashtag Backyard Boston Marathon, but 3 friends and myself did a marathon relay today. So my friend and I ran 8.1, and then 2 of my other friends ran 5. So a lot of people were doing marathon relays today to make up for not being able to run the Boston Marathon.
So where did you run the relay?
Just from home.
Locally.
Like
Okay.
Yeah, from home. And I would have loved to have run the course. I didn't run the course, but I did get a message this morning from one of my friends, a text, that someone ran it at someone took pictures with his family at 5:30 in the morning and was running along the course because he saw it on the news. I didn't see it on the news, but he texted me and I'm like, oh, great.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about people that are doing it? You don't have to pick a side if you don't want to, but.
No, I'll totally pick a side. Because I was going to be that person, but it's kind of like, first of all, the recommendations were do not go out on the course and run. So, maybe I'll go out next week for a quick run along the course, even if it's 5 miles. But I don't know. I mean, I think it kind of could have waited. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's my own opinion. I'm not judging though. I mean, it's
No.
to each his
My
own.
my
I don't
thing
know
is
how many
this.
out there.
My thing is this. If you can do it, like same thing. You can go outside. It's just be distant with each other. So if you had like 30
Yeah.
people running together and then you go into the finish line and then all of a sudden there's like 100 people there, that's a problem. But if it's just one individual or like 2 or 3 trickling along, like I think that's a little bit better because there are people that because you're not a traditionalist. There are traditionalists out there that are probably very upset it's not on this specific day because it means so much to them.
Yeah.
And again, like we're not in their shoes where this marathon, especially with 2013 and how that could have affected the Boston bombing, could have affected them, and they're still going to run. So I'm not going to hate on it. I was just very curious today. And after this, after we talk, I'm gonna go right on my phone and just go all over Twitter and just like see it because I'm interested and there are stories out there that definitely should be known and why people are running and why they did that. But that was just so interesting to me, and I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure there were people more than that one person that ran it this morning. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe if I lived close to it, I might have tried to sneak out for a mile or two. I have no idea, but I just figured, it can wait. But
I was thinking about running the last mile. I was just like, you know what? Like, let's just
Yeah.
do that. I think I think that would be cool if like all of Boston got together when it's acceptable to go outside and they just said everyone's running the last mile, just like in memory. Like that means like you don't even have to be someone that runs marathons. You just go and do the last mile and everyone crosses together. They're going to be, I can't wait till society does open back up because there's going to be some good stuff like that. Hopefully people are not assholes to each other for a little bit. And it's all like, hey, we finally get to go back outside. Let's all play together and let's have fun. Let's move on a little bit from the Boston Marathon. And let's say it as example, today actually did happen. You just ran it. Congratulations, you finished. What was your next couple steps going forward in terms of other marathons? What's your next goal?
So I'm running. My first goal is, of course, I'd love to do the 50 marathons in 50 states. So I want to complete all world majors, and there's 6 world majors. So I have Chicago done. I'll have Boston done. And I'm running New York City this year, so I'll have 3 out of the 6, and then I'll have Berlin, London, and Tokyo.
When's the New York City one?
New York City is November 11th.
So you'll do September and then November.
Yes. Yep.
That's crazy. That's a crazy turnaround, but it's also exciting because you're like, I just finished this Boston one. Wow, we're going right into New York City, like in 2 months, September, October, November. Yeah,
it's
2 months.
Exciting. I mean, I hope everything will definitely be figured out by then because you wonder what it's going to be like now with like your crowds and everything. Like, are they going to be restrictions? Like, what's it going to be like? But I mean, September's a little ways away, so hopefully it'll all be figured out by then.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? This is free form time for you now. Like, if you want to talk about anything, give any shout outs out there. Because I think I've ran out of questions, and I'm still waking up.
I don't really. I just think we're all gonna come back stronger than ever. We have so much more time to train, and it's gonna be a great marathon. It's gonna be one for me to remember for sure.
Yeah, it's great that you have that optimistic attitude. It's like, you know what, like. It's not like I missed my opportunity. The opportunity is still going to be there. It's not like, oh, sorry, like this is never going to happen again. Even God forbid if they don't have a race in September, they're just going to push everything back off to 2021. And anybody who was eligible from 2020 is just going to be eligible for 2021. So you're still going to have it. You're still going to be here and you're still going to be able to do it. So I like the attitude of just keep running, just keep training. Don't be discouraged. Like our time is going to come. And it would be awesome because this time of the year in April is in terms of sports, like it's supposed to be one of the best times out there, March and April, because you got March Madness, college basketball, you got the NFL draft here, baseball just started up, you got playoff hockey, you got basketball hockey, you got the Boston Marathon, Patriots Day, the Red Sox play at 11, then you get out and then you get to see the marathon runners, like, and that's the thing that not a lot of people, and let's actually talk about that. Let's talk about a little bit about your history of the Boston Marathon, attending the Boston. You've been to the Boston Marathon before. You probably celebrated, on that day. Some people find it an excuse to go out and drink early. That's cool. Do whatever you got to do. I really have never gone out to experience the Boston Marathon until last year when I went out for Teddy's team. And I supported them. I volunteered. I think I was at the last mile marker, handed out, bars or whatever and waters and whatnot. And just to see how people travel from all over, people come in the city, they flood the city, you're walking around. It's an amazing experience, especially with the Red Sox game going on. They're getting out. You have that crowd that's mixed in there. You get towards the finish line. The bars are hopping. And I think last year was kind of crappy out to start, but then ended up becoming beautiful afterwards. Talk about a little bit about your experience of the Boston Marathon as a fan, as a spectator.
You get a high from it. I think you get a high just from being there and seeing all the runners. Because every time I've gone, I'm like, I'm gonna run this marathon one day. It's amazing, and I've been in plenty of times to see my friends run the marathon, and it's nice. I waited at mile 20 at the top of Heartbreak Hill, and you have the app on your phone, and you're tracking your friends that are running the race, and they're coming up that hill, and you're just holding your sign, and it's what runners look forward to, and it's what the spectators look forward to as well. Like seeing your family, your friends, and people that that are running out there coming up towards you. It's exciting I think for each end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was to say, like, in being at that final mile marker, again, it was again, my first time doing it. It's just cool because the city's taken over. Everybody's outside, especially near that BU campus. The kids are grilling and they're drinking outside, having a good time, vibing. And you're at that last mile marker, and you just know these guys just gave out 25 miles straight of doing this. Some people have the biggest smiles on their face because they know the end is there. And everyone, like you said, is cheering because no one's going to boo you. No one's going to be upset or anything like that. And then you see other people that are completely gassed. You see other people that are Army veterans that are wearing the full attire. Some people that you see some people wearing costumes. You see some people that are wearing heavy backpacks on them running. It's very interesting to see the normies that are just like doing it to do it, than the people that are literally trained for something like this. And then you see people that are 70 years old out there and still doing it. And it's so eye-opening to see the runners from across the board and having that sight, especially the last mile or so, because that's it. They're coming down there. And then it's right near the Lenox Hotel when they have the finish line, and just seeing just watching those people put that last effort in there, because how much they gave it their all. Some people that unfortunately can't finish. You see some people being carried on the way out there. And you know what? Another thing is you see even the medical personnel driving their golf carts down there. Some people and you can see the pain and suffering in their faces because they weren't able to complete the Boston Marathon. Now imagine that someone in your shoes, Holly, that has trained hard for the Boston Marathon. It's your first one. You couldn't even finish it because it just took you over for some unfortunate event, whether you hurt yourself or you just weren't trained for it, dehydration. So, again, I'm spitballing all across the board, but these are the things that you see. And it's so eye-opening. So anybody out there that hasn't had the chance to go to a Boston Marathon, and with the social distancing hopefully ending in September, it's out there. This would be great to go out there, enjoy the fall weather. That's another thing, an element too, is going to be that fall weather, whether it'll be a little bit warm, but that crisp air out there. And go out there and do it sometime. Plan to do that. Even if you live in Chicago, Nashville, New York City, these marathons, these major marathons, go out there and just take the day off and go experience it. And it's actually, most people have the day off anyways from work. It's pretty much a Boston holiday. So I suggest go out there and be a spectator, root them on. Maybe not at the start, and sometimes at the start you see everyone fresh. Towards the end, when you see them coming towards the end and you know how much they gave into it, especially with you as a spectator who didn't train for this event, so you don't even know what it's like. And you're sitting there holding a beer or something like that, or slugging down a burger. It's very eye-opening. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think the spectators are what make the marathon so memorable. It's the spectators, and It definitely is. And I actually I had a good friend of mine who couldn't finish his first Boston Marathon. He collapsed, and I was waiting for him at mile 20, and he never made it. And I was like, and I finally got a message from his wife, but he collapsed. I don't remember if I think it was because dehydration, but he got to run it again and he got to finish, and it sucked. I mean, it kind of ruined him for a while. He was heartbroken. He was devastated.
And that's a great story. Redemption is like, you know what? Pick yourself back up, because listen, like we just said at the beginning of this, is like you're not running for a time or anything like that. You're not like trying to run for first place. You're just running to finish. You want to finish, you pace yourself. And unfortunately, you might get caught up and you can't finish. And it does get into your psyche and ruins your confidence. But guess what? There's always next year. And then when you finish it next year, it's redemption, because you finish that. There are thousands, hundreds and thousands of millions of people that will never do that, that will never have that opportunity to do it, nor would they ever have the chance to be like, I know me, I could probably never, ever, ever run a Boston Marathon. I would never be able to finish. And you're doing something that other people can't do, and you still be able to do it. It's great redemption stories. Holly, we're going to have to start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
I appreciate you coming on here. Do you have any last thoughts or anything that you want to say, even though I said that like 10 minutes ago?
I guess all I can say is I'll see you in September, Boston. I mean, that's it. Like, I'm just gonna keep running and keep staying positive, and I'll get my turn to run the Boston Marathon.
Holly, we appreciate you coming on today. Holly Connolly. I want to say Connolly for some reason. I think it's just really stuck in my head. And she said, call you Cannoli. And then, stop doing this. So call her Connolly. Holly Connolly, thank you for coming on here today. Boston's Big Three podcast. It's great to get a runner's perspective. We wish you all the luck going forward in your training. And hopefully September opens up and we can actually have a little talk again and maybe do a follow-up when the Boston Marathon happens again, and get a little post-run interview with you at some point. And maybe we'll have to go out there and support you. Ride the wave. We'll be out there with the signs and cheering you on and everything like that.
Yes,
I love to do that.
You will have to get a babysitter.
Oh, God. Well, we'll see if we can work it.
Look, I look forward to adding to my collection. I can't wait to add the Boston Marathon medal. That's
another thing too. Is once you do the 5K and everything, you start collecting them all, and then it's just something like I like the way you had it like that too. A little something that you can wake up to every day. You look at that, and it keeps you motivated. It keeps you going. The little trophies out there, the little medals that keeps you going. It's great. Hollywood, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Bye. And that was Holly's interview. It was good. I just woke up like an hour before that, so I was completely rattled at the start. But we finished strong. It's always good to have her on here. Like Brendan, before we went into that interview, you asked the question about, is she going to be doing both of them? And so the New York City one's in November, and the Boston one's going to be in September. So she's going to be able to do both of those. And I did say that it's interesting because once you complete the Boston, it's like you're right into the New York City one. Like that's the next one over there. But I thought what was cool was, especially with Chicago, and I do all the traveling around with Patriots and whatnot, is that she's never been to someone like Chicago before, say Nashville. And she gets to fly out there and experience the city, but you're running in the middle of the city. So you're running down Broadway Street in Nashville, and you're walking, you're looking at everything. And I think that's a cool way to go sightseeing. And like she said, she wants to do 50 marathons in 50 states. And I think that's an awesome thing. And it's very encouraging out there that you don't have to be an athlete to do this. She just started 10 years ago. She's like, I want to start doing this. You ran some local 5Ks, and then that running life starts to get to you. And it should encourage anybody out there at any age that doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your weight, doesn't matter your height. Just go out there and start running. And the more running you do, and you set little goals for yourself. And it's good that she doesn't run to place; she just runs to finish. So it was good. And shout out for Boston Marathon today. And it's something that we hope that we can cover in September, and hopefully they end up having it.
Yeah. So speaking of that, being allocated to September 14th, I believe the date is. I've seen a lot of stuff in the media about coronavirus potentially delaying college, move-in dates and stuff. But this September date for the marathon is actually encouraging to me when it comes to those type of things, because if they can have a full marathon with that many people gathered in the same area, they can move in these smaller schools.
So she said, in terms of the marathon, that we could have it, but there still could be some sort of social distancing where they might not even allow people to go out to the marathon. They might still just do it, similar to what sports is trying to do and having sports with no fans. But hopefully it is encouraging because hopefully September we can get back there. And it's kind of funny because I even said this in the interview. March and April are some of the biggest sports months. You have March Madness, you have the Boston Marathon, you have baseball just starting. You like even today, like you have the Red Sox game at 11. They get out and you're right there at the Boston Marathon. Playoff hockey, basketball playoffs. September looks like it's going to be the craziest sports month out there. NFL football. You have the Kentucky Derby. You have the Boston Marathon. You're going to have anything that's been backlogged probably having their playoffs at that time as well too.
Yeah. It's going to be busy.
It's going to be busy. It's going to be great. Will fans be able to go out there? I don't know. I did say this off the record. This was not in the interview, and I will say it because I didn't want to be the Debbie Downer because you know how my thoughts are. I said, I'm going to be honest. I feel like they're going to cancel the Boston Marathon completely, and it'll be 2021. And she goes, I feel that as well, too. She's like, I don't want to say it. She's like, I didn't want to say it, but
see, the problem with that is like the Boston Marathon's, it's the longest running marathon in like the world. It's going on 146 right now, I think.
Yeah.
And if you cancel that streak officially comes to an end.
And she said in the sense of this, I said, there's some traditionalists out there that are probably salty that it's not on this specific year and they run it every single year and they might have to wait a year. It's all part of history. And she said, no matter what, they're all still going to end up running eventually. You're all going to keep your bids. There's not like you're just going to, you might have trained for that specific date and it has to be that specific date. And I'm sure some people have to back out and not be able to run it, but everyone will still have the opportunity to run it, whether it's September or whether it's next year in 2021.
All right. Well, the Patriots changed their uniforms. And honestly, there was so much hype and speculation about what it's going to be. Are the Reds coming back? Are the Blues coming back? Like, what's going to happen? And I was super unimpressed. I was super kind of like let down. I think they're fine. They're the color rush ones, if you haven't seen them. But I was just wanting something different. This is super similar to what the old ones were. They said they were closing a chapter when Brady left. And I thought they were going to totally redo it. All the speculation going around Twitter is every Instagram page knows a little something. Every social media account has someone who works in the Patriots organization. They know about it. So I really had no idea what to expect. And ultimately, they don't really get the needle moving.
That's a perfect analysis right there. I think fine is the word to describe it because I think it's kind of a lateral move. We knew going into it, color rush was going to be the home jersey. We knew that for a couple weeks ago before all this stuff was announced. The away jerseys, yeah, they're okay. They're essentially the same thing. The numbers got fatter. They added a stripe on the side, basically an inverted color rush jersey, if you will. My biggest problem, no white pants. They should definitely have that as at least for an alternate. They had all white color rush a couple years ago, and that was probably one of the best looking jerseys they've ever put on. So I was kind of confused by that. I want a different helmet. They didn't change the helmet whatsoever. I was expecting a white helmet like we've been speculating for the past couple of even months, really. And then no alternate was really the letdown for me. That was the biggest problem I had with this jersey drop. They had so much hype around it. They had the Twitter video, something old, something new, something blue, something borrowed, whatever it was. That was 100% reference to the 90s jerseys. 100%. Nothing else. Navy blue does not qualify as blue.
So,
we're talking about blue.
So you know what it was?
That was absolute nonsense that we didn't get that alternate 90s jersey.
So they said that the 90s thing is their socks. They said it's the same socks, but it's just a different color. So that's like someone reached out to me and showed me the socks from the 90s. Like that's the 90s thing that they gave a nod to.
Give me a break.
Give me a
shoelaces.
Start content with the hype nonsense.
I will say this. I did see on the Pro Shop, because they posted the jerseys, there is a red jersey out there, and it's the Vapor one, which is the new one that came out. And people will say, well, they sell the red one always because there is I don't know the right word for it. Everyone loves the red jerseys no matter what.
There's a market for it.
Nostalgia.
There is. So they're always going to sell that red jersey. But the way I posted it, which is true, it's an unofficial alternate because they're waiting for that helmet rule to change because they probably only want to wear the red jerseys if they could only wear Pat the Patriot on their helmet with that white helmet. That could be something said too, that the Patriots don't want to go to white helmets because they only want Pat the Patriot logo to be on those white helmets as a throwback. I think the silver helmet looks so fucking stupid with these jerseys. But listen, I don't care if they wear purple and pink. It's about the play on the fields. As long as they're fucking killing it, as long as they're winning games, that people are going to wear the jerseys. They're going to buy the jerseys, and they're going to accept it. As long as you still have that winning culture, that's all that matters. And
I think you're right when it comes to like the new alternate, as even though it's the old red jersey. I think it works with these like sets of jerseys because of the stripes on the shoulders. It's like the same thing across the board. I think that's what was the inspiration for the original Color Rush, the one you're wearing right now. Those stripes came like straight from those red throwbacks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that they haven't worn that red since the helmet rule changed, and they're waiting for it hopefully next year. But it's like, why don't you change? I just want to know why they kept the silver helmet, because it doesn't flow with what they wear, because there's no other silver at all. And it's like, maybe they're keeping the silver helmet because, hey, that silver helmet now will always stay with us because that's our winning helmet. That's what we've used for these last 20 years. Like I said, it doesn't matter what they wear. Even Drew Bledsoe said it back in 2000. He's like, it doesn't matter what we wear. We just want to have a winning culture. And then they went 5-11 that year. But it's just as long as they're winning, it doesn't matter. I'll still buy one. I think their color rushes are sick. I like them. My girl got me a Van Noy one. R.I.P. Van Noy. Won't be seeing him anymore in the Patriots.
That's the only color rush one I have too.
I'm gonna end up buying a new one, and I'll probably end up getting like whoever the starting quarterback.
Just get a Patrick Queen jersey.
Oh, I might get Micheal Harry. I think I might get a Harry jersey, but I also saw today that someone sent it to me. They bought one already, and it said the shipping day was September 17th. But they just say that right away. I guess it's gonna be by May. They're gonna have it. So, and I'm gonna buy some for the Twins too. We're gonna have their first names on them and do like a little name reveal with Patriots jerseys. It'll be kind of cool.
Interesting. I do think it is a cool, like, you're talking about the culture that's set with the jerseys. Like, doesn't matter what you're wearing as long as you're playing good. And I think it is a unique opportunity that the Patriots have, especially with basically retiring the entire white Super Bowl jersey, if you will. Like, that's the jersey they've worn in the last 4 Super Bowls, and they've won 3 out of those 4. And I think it is a really unique thing to basically not just retire Tom's number that they're probably going to do in the future, but to retire the jersey that he's literally been playing in the last 20 years that's taken them so far.
And the thing with this is when you do a jersey, it's a year in advance that you have to at least put this out there. So last year we came out with the whole 90s throwback thing, and I was told by somebody about something. So it actually makes sense, because if you start reading more reports about Brady, they knew he was leaving after they won Super Bowl 53. They knew last year was his last year no matter what. So I'm sure that they already kind of instilled in their mind, like, we should probably update the other jerseys in a way and start making the color rush. Like, Robert Kraft loves the color rush jersey. And that's why they started adopting it as more of a home jersey. They would wear it 3 times a year. They would wear it at the home games. It's and I think I love the color rush. I love the pants. I just hate the fucking helmet, dude. I just think they wore a white helmet with that, it would be one of the cleanest jerseys out there. I think that's what ruins the jerseys. But
yeah, I just want to shout out the Patriots marketing guy, whoever runs their Twitter, because they got me. They got me 100% behind this. Oh, the big reveal and everything. But absolute garbage. They teased these jerseys, and they should have brought these jerseys back as an alternate. You cannot convince me otherwise.
You saw what I posted.
That they don't have that.
You saw what I posted with the Edelman one, and that one's been floated around there for a while, and it has the stripes just like this too, and it's that royal blue. They should have came out with that as an alternate as well. Like, I don't know why they don't have an alternate this season.
All right, last thing before we wrap it up, the Jordan documentary drops episodes 1 and 2. Did you guys all watch it yesterday, Babz? I know you said you were an episode out.
Yeah, I watched the first episode.
Stafford and Brandon, you watched it?
Yeah, I watched the first episode and the last part of it.
6.1 million people watched it yesterday.
That's insane. That was sports coming back.
You haven't? It was must. I will say, very, very good. Like, it had the highest expectations in the world coming into it because it's the only thing on TV. It got moved up. It's Michael Jordan. It's a 10-piece. They previewed it in 2018 New Year's Eve, and I mean, I had no complaints really. The only thing I didn't like is, like, it just seems so out of order. Like, I forgot it was only one season with the Bulls they were really focusing on. I'm like, what are we doing here? Other than that, there's just some wicked funny takeaways. First and foremost, the sneakiest funny thing I've ever seen on TV during quarantine was the fact that Barack Obama was introduced as former Chicago resident. You know what it says, like, your name in an interview is like Brian Babikian, like Spike King, you're like Barack Obama. Instead of president of the United States or former president of the United States, it goes former Chicago resident. I'm like, that's where I know the guy from. I couldn't piece the two together.
He used to live South Side.
Yeah, and the Jerry Krause wants to blow up the five-time Chicago Bulls champions. And this is something that I don't see in the NBA as often. Jordan saying, I'm not going to play for anyone other than Phil Jackson. Normally you see LeBron, people like that, getting guys up out of here. Or just like it's a players league, they want to team up with players. This Jordan and Phil Jackson were like peanut butter and jelly. Like they had to be together to be the best possible outcome. And I think this first two episodes highlighted the fact of that relationship. You can have certain other players, like say your 6th, 7th, 8th guy off the bench. He leaves, he'll probably still win a championship. You have Phil Jackson leave, then the Bulls are a different story.
I will say this about the Barack Obama thing, just because it made me think. They had like Bob Costas on there, J.A. Adonde. Like Bob Costas, you know his voice from everything. But when they labeled it, but then when they labeled it, they just labeled like when he worked in the Chicago like industry or something like that. I think they want to try to make it more Chicago based and not about like, oh, this is the president of the United States.
It was obvious why they did it. It was just so funny.
Yeah, no, and but in terms of just real quick, like in terms of this is history for the young kids to like start watching. Even someone like me, like at turning 29, like. I grew up towards the end of the Jordan era. Like I was such a young kid and I couldn't grasp what he really did for the game itself. So it's great to watch this whole documentary to be unfolding to see, wow, this was the last dance. It reminds me a little of the Patriots in a way too. I know theirs was a condensed version, but this last dance kind of reminds me of like Super Bowl 53 and kind of their last dance and knowing like, hey, the time's coming up kind of soon and everyone's going to disband. It's awesome. Kind of funny that they were allowed to have cameras for that last season. It's like they knew that was going to be such a historic thing that they can go back in the vault and put something together.
Well, God, Larry Bird called Jordan God a few times.
Yeah,
like that was just funny. The fact that you could relate it back to the Celtics too. But Stafford, you can go. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, before we move on, I just want to go back to Tyler's point about Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan being like peanut butter and jelly. I think it's something else to that. I think it's more about just to show the decline of coaching in modern sports in general, because you have these visionaries that grew up in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s even, where coaching was at its finest, where they were revolutionizing the game, where they were changing the game. And now you see players doing that and coaches kind of taking a step back and just kind of letting the players do what they're going to do. You see the NFL even, Bill Belichick's really the only great coach in the NFL. I really don't see a lot of other great coaches. Yeah, there are some good coaches, a lot of terrible coaches, and some average coaches. Same thing with the NBA, same thing with the MLB, same thing with the NHL. Coaching has declined to the point where the player-driven league has essentially wiped out all of their value. They're no longer as valuable as they were to the game as they were in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And before we move on, because this is like the only piece of information I can actually offer, because I didn't actually watch the documentary yet, I just thought it was interesting that Jordan finally gave the green light to release the documentary or to start, the process of the documentary on the Cleveland Cavaliers parade day in 2016. That was the most interesting part for me of all the stuff I've seen on Instagram and Twitter today. 100%.
You know why he did that? Because he's going to start be winning. And then 4 years later, when LeBron's still cooking and everything, he's like, all right, I got to remind everybody why I'm wicked good. But I don't think LeBron's slander is really necessary in this whole thing. Like I saw all of Twitter being like, oh, LeBron this, LeBron that. You don't need to drag him in. Like,
that's my main point. That's my main takeaway from watching this, because like Babz was talking about how this is history. Like I'm graduating college and I never watched Jordan play as a kid. Like that's where we're at in today's world. And everyone who's watching basketball nowadays thinks LeBron James is the greatest player of all time, just by simply watching him day in and day out, even though like we don't have any sports on right now. But looking back, when a documentary comes out like this about one of the greatest basketball players to ever touch the hardwood, it starts to raise that debate to another level. A lot of the young people today will definitely argue for LeBron James being better because they never had the opportunity to see Jordan play. And now you get to this documentary where you can actually watch some of the things he was able to do, especially in part two, seeing what he was able to do against those 80s Celtics, dropping 60-something points on him in a night. And it raises that debate to a whole nother level. And I think it's going to be a really fun experience going forward as this documentary comes out every weekend, about the debate, like what LeBron's been able to do with a few all-star teammates, what Jordan was able to do with a few all-star teammates, and what they've both been able to do without those Robin second like B players. Like LeBron was able to, without a B player, go to the finals in one of his first years in Cleveland, and then Jordan, same thing in Chicago.
Can't wait for the LeBron documentary to come out and play the victim card and be like, I had nobody great around me, and I had to do everything by myself. La la la.
Last thing, then we're gonna wrap this up. Scottie Pippen got paid $18 million for a 7-year contract, which is just minimum wage. 7 years, $18 million. That's just a little tidbit.
They said what happened was that he signed a bad deal, but right before when he signed that deal, like literally right after that, the NBA stock just like went skyrocketed.
Yeah, that's the John Wall treatment. John Wall signed a huge contract right before the spike hit in 2016 when everyone's getting paid like all this crazy money, and now John Wall has just been sitting out this 2015 check. But
he also hasn't played a game since then.
Yeah, true. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, Steve Kerr was getting paid $750,000 to be on an NBA team. Let's just sink in real quick.
And he's definitely got one of the greatest careers going from the Chicago Bulls to honestly, it's special.
I was gonna say that. It makes me think about Steve Kerr and like how I think he's underappreciated because he's a 6-time champion with the Bulls and he's a 3-time and it was a three-time champion, right, with the Warriors.
And he's doing stuff with the Spurs as assistant coach.
Yeah, so it's like he has championship. He's like not Bill Belichick because he didn't play, but it's just like the amount of rings that he still has. And I still think that Steve Kerr, when it's all set, because the Warriors, whenever basketball comes back, the Warriors are still going to be good. They're still going to be good, and they're still probably going to win another championship or two out there. So I think that Steve Kerr, when it's all said and done, is going to be one of the most underrated player coaches out there in NBA history.
Babz, any final thoughts?
No, not necessarily. Like I said, GRD stuff, whatever, dude. I'm actually gonna post something right now. I'm gonna let people know about something that's kind of going on, and I'm sorry that my computer crashed in between that and my battery ran out.
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
I had the Tyler Miller treatment.
My computer never shut down. My mic just comes out.
Mic comes out.
One more thing, too. Stay tuned for on Wednesday. Me and Babz will be breaking down my final mock draft for the NFL draft. NFL draft's on Thursday. Finding some live sports stuff for the first time in months. Wow. So that'll be exciting. As well as the fact we're actually proud to announce our first live coverage of any sporting event. The NFL draft will provided coverage for Ride the Wave Media. Myself and a slew of guys from Ride the Wave will be appearing on Instagram Live to cover the entire event. So about 2-hour live podcast. So stay tuned for that.
All right, this has been Boston's Big 3, episode 51, presented by Ride the Wave Media, sponsored by New Balance. We'll see
Happy
you guys
Patriots Day.
Eventually. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, download, tell your friends, share something.
See you next Marathon Monday.